I think one of the biggest things was when they wanted to cut pensions, and that was in about 1974, I think it was, and I know Don Aiken was also on the same council as I was, and the two of us started it, that we got hold of all our different components within the PSAC, and wrote letters and called basically a meeting. And I can remember the night that it was, we're going to have a panel on this, and we had rented the Kingsway, one of the rooms there, the big banquet rooms there. And there were the panelists, and I think Reg Baskin was in on that, and I can't remember what it was, Jim Suchak from the CLC. And but anyway, we had a panel of about 4, and there was the executive. There were 6 or 8 of us there at 7:30 or 7:15, and the thing was supposed to start at 7:30. And before we ended up, that we had to bring in more chairs, and we'd set up for over 500, and so it was overwhelming. And of course we took a collection because we figured we might need some money, and so the money that we paid for the hall and everything went, and then that's when through the PSAC that we had the fair deal, and that's where the balance of the money went in, so we'd get a fair deal as far as the pensions were concerned, and through efforts that Bill C-22 was basically killed. So I think that was a big thing. Mm-hmm. And then we, right after that as well, we formed a committee which were all public sector unions. And we had basically a weekend seminar, and we talked about it would be the pensions for one thing, and there were 4 or 5 different things that would affect us as public employees, and we had over 125 people that took part in it, but we had to turn away quite a few too because it was such a big thing. And I think that civil service, or the public service council, was viable for about 6 or 8 years. I can't really remember now. Within the women's movement, I mean, I was sort of from the old school, and
talk about that.
yeah. Well, I often went to women's meetings, and they could have been my daughter as far as that goes, and some of them were quite young. And like one time I was really shocked. This woman was, I would say, a good 7, possibly 8 months pregnant. And they were talking about whether or not men would be at meetings, women's committee meetings or women's meetings. And anyway, that question came up, and she said, "Who needs them?" And I said, I think we need them as well as using them. And I looked right at her because it just hit me wrong, because we're both in this world together, whether it's men and women. So and that's one thing that I've always thought, that my brothers were just as important to me as my sisters, so to speak.